Good morning. This is Pastor Brian. I want to thank you for joining me as we've been reading a chapter a day from First Corinthians. Today we're looking at chapter 10, and I will be reading from the Common English Bible. But I do really want to say I really appreciate all of you who are joining me for our daily Bible studies during this time. So today, as I mentioned, let's jump in and see what chapter 10 has to say for us. Brothers and sisters, I want you to be sure of the fact that our ancestors were all under the cloud, and they all went through the sea. All were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. All ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink. They drank from a spiritual rock that followed them, and the rock was Christ. However, God was unhappy with most of them, and they were struck down in the wilderness. These things were examples for us, so we won't crave evil things like they did. Don't worship false gods like some of them did, as it is written. The people sat down to eat and drink, and they got up to play. Let's not practice sexual immorality like some of them did, and 23,000 died in one day. Let's not test Christ like some of them did, and they were killed by the snakes. Let's not grumble like some of them did, and were killed by the destroyer. These things happened to them as an example, and were written as a warning for us, to whom the end of time has come. So those who think they are standing need to watch out, or else they may fall. No temptation has seized you that isn't common for people. But God is faithful. He won't allow you to be tempted beyond your abilities. Instead, with the temptation, God will also supply a way out so that you will be able to endure it. So then, my dear friends, run away from the worship of false gods. I'm talking to you like you are sensible people. Think about what I am saying. Isn't the cup of blessing that we bless a sharing in the blood of Christ? Isn't the loaf of bread that we break a sharing in the body of Christ? Since there is one loaf of bread, we who are many are one body, because we all share the one loaf of bread. Look at the people of Israel. Don't those who eat the sacrifices share from the altar? What am I saying then? That food sacrificed to a false god is anything? Or that a false god is anything? No. But this kind of sacrifice is sacrificed to demons and not to God. I don't want you to be sharing in demons. You can't drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons, and you can't participate in the table of the Lord and the table of demons. Or should we make the Lord jealous? We aren't stronger than he is, are we? Everything is permitted, but everything isn't beneficial. Everything is permitted, but everything doesn't build others up. No one should look out for their own advantage, but they should look out for each other. Eat everything that is sold in the marketplace, without asking questions about it because of your conscience. The earth and all that is in it belong to the Lord. If an unbeliever invites you to eat with them and you want to go, eat whatever is served, without asking questions because of your conscience. But if someone says to you, "This meat was sacrificed in a temple," then don't eat it for the sake of the one who told you and for the sake of conscience. Now, when I say conscience, I don't mean yours, but the other person's. Why should my freedom be judged by someone else's conscience? If I participate with gratitude, why should I be blamed for food I thanked God for? So whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, you should do it all for God's glory. Don't offend either Jews or Greeks, or God's church. This is the same thing that I do. I please everyone in everything I do. I don't look out for my own advantage, but I look out for many people so that they can be saved. So that's the end of chapter 10. I do like this last part of the chapter um, about in verse 23, everything is permitted, but everything isn't beneficial. Everything is permitted, but everything doesn't build others up. I just love that idea where Paul is basically pointing out to us that there's so many things that we can have in this life that isn't necessarily bad, but it might not be helpful for us. And it might not be helpful for others. And I think that is so incredibly insightful. And I don't know that we necessarily think about it all the time nowadays. Um, that, you know, well, yeah, what I do is fine, but you don't think about the fact that what I'm doing could actually be a hindrance to someone else. For example, whenever you're around someone who has an addiction to something, it would be beneficial to probably refrain from that so that they are not tempted. And I like how Paul says in verse 29 also, I don't mean yours, but the other person's, when he's referring to the conscience. So it's not for your benefit. It's not for what you're doing, but it's for the benefit of the other person. And what a wonderful way of thinking, of focusing on the other person. Again, Paul pointing out that it's not about me individually, but about how I can help benefit others. So what did you hear today? I'm going to stop rambling now. What did you hear? What did you think? What stuck out to you? What was really confusing for you? Maybe it was the opening part about Israel and the things that Israel went through. I know that that's not an easy thing to wrestle with. But examples of us to learn from, whether they were good or bad based on what we see. But anyway, what did you hear? What did you see? What did you like? What did you struggle with? Write them down. Share them with a friend. Share them with us. Take care of yourselves each and every day. We'll hopefully see you tomorrow, and God bless.